Hi guys, it's Grant here and welcome to my YouTube channel. This video is all about a beginner's guide to Etsy. But before we start, and most importantly, please click the subscribe button down below, the bell notification icon so you know when I've got new videos for you guys to watch. Also as well in the comments section below, please leave your comments, thoughts and feedback, good, bad or indifferent. I will try to read them all and to respond to as many as I can. With that in mind, I will stop waffling and get straight back into this video. Given this is my first YouTube video and in particular on Etsy, I thought I'd start off a bit about myself, my store and my experience, although I will give it very, very brief. So my store is rudecards.com, and as the name would suggest, it's an offensive greeting cards and gift store. But don't click away and stop watching just yet. I'm not going to show you any of the gifts or cards that I have. I'm not going to talk about any of the content or any of the words that I use because some of them are mega offensive. However, if you do want to visit my store, please click the link down below. So my Etsy journey started around a year and a half ago. I had an idea for a greeting cards and gifts store, had some designs ready, but really didn't have the time or the push to do so. But in September 2018, I was made redundant and I thought it was a perfect time to start an Etsy store. And with that in mind, my first tip is just to get something online. As you guys might know, Etsy is completely free to join, and that's where I started. I had my idea, but I didn't actually have any physical products. So what I've done is I hopped onto Etsy.com and I joined for free. Now, we all know you have to pay actually to list a product, but at that point, you could just join. That's exactly what I did. I didn't finish the sign-up process. I entered my email address, password, some brief details, and I think I got to the product page where you had to upload your first product, and that's where I stopped. But what I knew was I had access to a shop manager. Etsy had sent me an email, and that was that constant reminder, that push, that drive to think, actually, today is the day I've taken the first step on Etsy and I'm going to continue and go through this process and follow that journey through. And that is why number one is so important. Get yourself online. It's not about finishing, it's just about starting. So you sign up for Etsy and you'll find yourself probably at a page that asks you to upload your product and a product photo. Now there are literally tons and tons and tons of articles, blog posts and YouTube videos about the importance of your product photo, which I completely agree with. However, how long do you wait? I spent probably 3 or 4 days trying to get the perfect photo of my products done, and it took me absolutely ages and I still wasn't happy. And during that 3 or 4 days, even a week I might have spent, I was losing custom. I wasn't learning. I wasn't getting into the Etsy shop. I wasn't understanding more about it. And that for me is dead and wasted time. So my advice is to take one good photo and then use something like Fiverr.com. And this is how you do it. So I'm using an iPhone XR, which I'm using for this video here. I bought a very cheap £20 or £25 lightbox, softbox lightbox from Amazon.com, and I staged one photo of one greeting card on my kitchen work surface, which was on a white plain background. I staged it so it looked nice, and I took one photo. I then went to head over to Fiverr.com and I spent $15 to get all my photos transposed onto my original photo. So I had 60 or 70 photos that I'd taken just on a plain, boring background of my products. Didn't look the best. I then had a great photo on my kitchen worktop of a plain product, and then the guy from Fiverr transposed all the photos onto that one. So for $15, I got the best images I could, the best products I could, and it allowed me to progress on my journey. I'm not saying that's for everyone, and some people will have exactly the right equipment to take a photo, but for me, it worked 100%, and it allowed me to get through onto the next journey and to my next stage. Descriptions for me are absolutely key. They tell you about the product, the person, the shop slightly, and also as well for search engine purposes. So in terms of how you market and how your products are found. For me, I took a two-stage approach. So what you need to remember when you're doing your product description is you need to give enough detail, but not too much. But also as well, put some of your own personal passion, your thoughts, your beliefs, how you got to this stage through in your description. And that's what I felt that I needed to do. And how I done that is that for people that wanted just to know about the product very quickly, I wrote product details in brief. And what I done in brief for greeting cards, as I said, about the size, the colour, what it was printed on, the type of paper, the thickness, all in bullet point format. So people want to just read about it, be in, be out, buy, not look at it, decide it's not right for them, they could do that very, very quickly. I then done product details, the story. And that's when I started to actually explain a bit about the product and the journey. Not a huge amount, just 2 paragraphs, just saying about how it's seller wrapped, it's done for protection, environment, it's printed on recyclable paper, some of my products. We use a UK printer, just trying to get across my own ethos and my own thoughts across in that product description. And that's what I suggest for most people. Get across the nuts and bolts and then explain a bit more. One part you'll get to when you're uploading a product is about the product variants and postage. Now for me, originally I was just going to offer white envelopes with my greeting cards, and I found that my traffic numbers to the site were very low. As soon as I introduced 5 or 6 different envelope colours, traffic went through the roof. Literally doubled, then tripled, then doubled again. I'm now at somewhere around 3,000 visits to my store in the last 3 weeks. So for me, think about your product variants from day one. You don't have to have fancy photos or videos of them, but if you're doing greeting cards, offer a range of different envelope colours. Or if you're doing something like gift wrapping, can you offer that service, even at a cost? Very important. Also, as a UK seller, we all know that the UK market for Etsy is smaller than the US. So for me, I wanted to make sure I could go to the US in terms of postage. So again, when you're uploading your products, please think about international shipping. I know a lot of us shy away from it. If you've got an expensive product, a bespoke product that could be expensive, then I would suggest not. But for me, a greeting card, I do actually ship internationally to the US and to Spain, where they've both got huge expat markets. I do charge people for that. I think it's £3 for the postage, but it is key. So I've talked to you a little bit today about my Etsy journey, about signing up to Etsy, the importance of just getting it online, the product photography, all the pictures that you have to do, and some of the pitfalls and how about you need to just get it online, and also about descriptions and product variants and postage. In later videos, I will talk to you about the promotion. So key about that is the search engine optimization, which is classed as SEO. Also, it's all about promoted listings and Google Shopping, but I won't cover that today. What I will do briefly is just walk you through some of the stats that I have for my shop. My shop is only 3.5 weeks old, so it's relatively new. I've got 62 live products, and I've actually had some good traction in terms of numbers. I've not had many sales, but good traction in terms of numbers. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen now and I'll show you some of that information. And what you'll see here is you'll see my shop manager. You'll see that I've got no new orders and none in progress. So I've fulfilled and I've completed all my orders, which is obviously very key. You've got active listings. So I've got 62. I'll talk about number of listings in a later video, but again, that's quite key. You don't just want 1 or 2 products on your shop. You want a decent range. You want to appeal to most people, even if you are in a niche. You'll also see down here my stats overview for the last 30 days. So what you'll see here is I've had over 3,500 views in the last 30 days. And again, my shop's only been open 3-4 weeks, so that's quite good. In fact, if you look at this month, it doesn't change much. Literally, I think I had a week in December and 1 sale. So if we go back to this month, this month, or the last 30 days, sorry. So you'll see total views over 3,500, visits nearly 2,500, and I only had 7 orders at £31.41. So I'm not a millionaire just yet. But what that does show you is that with a little bit of work, I've got quite a decent volume of views and visits, although the orders haven't come through. Thank you very much for watching my first YouTube video on here. There'll be a next one in the next week or so. Don't forget, subscribe, bell icon, thumbs up, and comments and feedback. Thank you very much.